Hello to all of you loved ones. This is Love Marlene 411, and welcome to the first episode of Tears to Triumph. I wanted to come in and talk about this while I feel like talking about it actually in full honesty, because sometimes we have to be in a space in our life and feel comfortable enough to share our story, share our journey, share the things that we go through in our life. And this one is part one of Tears to Triumph, and it's Will the Sadness Ever End? Unfortunately, in this life, we all go through something, and it seems that some people go through a lot more than others. Tragedy, loss, hurt, pain, abuse, and the list goes on and on. But today's topic is dedicated to the conversations that we need to have about some things that many of us don't want to talk about. Maybe some of it is some things that you've been running from your whole life until now. You don't want to face the reality of seeing your mother and father get into DV situations, or you've carried secrets from your relatives, knowing that a relative is homosexual and it's supposed to be hidden and kept in the secret. Having a relative, oh, before I go any further, I must say trigger warning. I know that my content may be triggering to some, just so that you know. And one thing that I always like to talk about over here, because I think it's very essential to your healing, is admitting when you've been in DV situations, when you have had eating disorder, when you have mental illness, when so many things happen. You're not going to get the help that you need until you come out and you accept it and you speak on your personal truth. I can't speak of your story. I don't know what it feels like to be in your shoes, and nobody else knows how it feels to be in yours. But what is so highly important is having conversations like this, where we allow on this platform honesty, personal truth, and allow each other without judgment to just say what their story is. And this is going to be the first episode in the Tears to Triumph. And I spent the majority of my life crying. And it sounds like now that I'm in a space in my life where I'm not crying, but I have to share my testimony because I know that it can resonate with someone and touch somebody in their heart and let them know that they're not alone in what they've dealt with and what they're going through. And that is this. When you have parents that don't love you, whether you come from having your parents in the home, whether you have been separated from your parents, whether you have been raised in foster care or you've been raised by another person. But the first relationship that I want to touch on today is the relationship that you have with your parents. Like I said, whether you have one parent or whether you have both parents. Is the relationship a good one? I hope so. I hope it is right now, but maybe when you were growing up, you did not have a good relationship with your parents. And I know for sure I didn't. We had to learn each other. We had to learn boundaries. And unfortunately, when you're a child, you don't understand why one of your parents or both of your parents or whoever it is, an important figure in your life, doesn't love you the way that you deserve. And I came from a space where I had lots of siblings. I'm the last of 10 children. And I did have my mother and my father in the home. But I do remember, even though I had all of these people around me, I remember being in a space of where I felt so sad. I felt so worthless. I felt so unloved. And I was so lonely. And I know for sure that I did things to get the attention of people within my relatives. I don't say family because certain individuals, I don't classify them as my family. But certain relatives, you would think that some of the things that they do or some of the things that they say would make them change. Hi, Miss Betty. How are you doing? Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. And sometimes we go through situations in our life, we go through things where we can have our relatives. And for me, it was my parents and my siblings. And even though I had a big family, I felt very alone. I felt very alone and in a very dark and painful situation. So, my Tears to Triumph story is, just because you may come from a space of not being received, not being loved, and we have to admit it. And for me, who wants to admit that the people that you care about or the people that you believe should care about you don't? It's something that most people deny it. Oh no, oh, my people, they love me. But is that love that they have for you, is that good love? Is it pure love? Or is it toxic love? The love that you have to do certain things for them, or they will be manipulating you or hating you or doing something, maybe putting their hands on you or whatever the case may be. And for me, my pain was being in a home with lots of people, but there being no communication, there being no hugs and kisses and conversations. So for me, I felt like my upbringing was, I had lots of people, but I was the loneliest that I have ever been in my life. Everybody was in their own world. And I remember crying. I remember crying and pleading to God to make this part of my life. Now I say this season because I'm older, but I remember being a child and crying so much and feeling so lonely and sad, and not understanding why people who, or my parents would bring me into this world to make me experience so much sadness. Why keep having children if you don't want to love them, if you don't want to care for them? Just keep having children. Like, I didn't get it, and I didn't understand that my reason for existing had nothing to do with my mom and my dad. My purpose was already planned because I was already going to grow into somebody phenomenal. I was going to grow into a woman of worth and power. But when you're going through situations like not having the acceptance of your parents, not getting the love, the celebration, the accolades, if all you ever feel like is you're just there to be a housekeeper, or you're just there to clean up the outside, sweep and mop and clean and empty the trash and, clean up a home, but not there to love as their child, it kind of gives you a complex. And I'm telling you that if you don't come to a space in your life where you let yourself admit, and I believe that I'm going to change this to admitting, no, I'm going to keep it the same. The tears are for end. For me, it started with denial. I never wanted to accept that all the pain that was happening to me, I could shift it and I could change it. All I remember is that sadness covered me from the top of my head to the bottom of the soles of my feet. There's no pain like the pain of not being accepted. There's no pain like not feeling loved, because I grew up in a time and going to school where there was so much bullying. I was bullied because the way that I talked. I was bullied because I always dressed different. I've always walked to the beat of my own drum. And when it comes to that, I was never put out there and prepared, emotionally and mentally, that there's nothing wrong with being different. You don't want to be like others. But at the time, I felt like I stuck out as a sore thumb. Like, who is going to ever want to be around me? Who is ever going to want to be my friend? When I had no idea that I don't need other people to be happy. I have to be happy from within. And I think that's where I'm going to pick up on the next part in talking about that. But I definitely wanted to say that to all of you loved ones, if you have ever been through some trauma, some tragedy, if people in your life that you feel should love you and receive you and they don't, and we start off with denial. We don't want to believe what happened to us actually happened, but it's a part of the healing process. It's a part of us stepping into our worth and our power. But in this season of denial, you may feel like nothing. You may feel hurt and in pain. You may feel so sad, and you may feel like, why am I even here? Why should I even try? Why not just throw in the towel? But I say all this, I wanted to have this podcast and conversation from triumph to tragedy, because I have to, Miss Betty. I feel that my life is a living testimony. I'm a living witness to, you can go through deep loss, you can go through rejection, you can go through so many things in your life and come on the other side not only better but triumphant. So who has ever been through something where maybe people have said things to you very hurtful? I mean, maybe your own parents, maybe your siblings, or other close relative like cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents, and it hurts you. And we want to sometimes blame ourselves because they blame us, and may say very horrible things to you, how ugly you are, how you're worthless and you're nothing and you're nobody. But at the time, I know it doesn't feel good. And even today, it still doesn't feel good to go back and think about it, but I have to because I want to give you all a new way of looking at your life. Instead of thinking about the hurt and the pain that others caused you, look at it is I went through that so I could gain strength. I went through that so I could gain acceptance, so I could have a story, so I can have something as fuel and as fire to elevate my life. So, no matter who has rejected you, no matter who has denied you or treated you as inferior, I want for you to start thinking about your life with a new set of eyes that, yes, somebody or maybe many people in your life have not done what they needed to do to you. They didn't treat you the way that you deserve, but here you are and you're still standing. And I want you to think about that. Even if sometimes you may feel like, why did they do to this to me? But some things that happen to us, it's not a personal attack. It's that person being having their own skeletons in the closet, their own lack of maturity, their own not knowing how to cope with this life. They don't have the coping tools. They don't love themselves. They don't know how to be a good friend. So that's why they transfer all of that negativity onto you. And I just want to say that if you've cried many, many tears, just like I have, I want you to know that we feel sometimes that the sadness never ends when we go through something, right? When you go through something. And I'm speaking to all of you loved ones who have been through some really hard times. I mean, DV situations, SA, SM, assaulted by, your spouse, significant other, maybe your parents, maybe siblings, maybe you have been SA'd by other relatives or SM by relatives. So many of us have a very dark past. And I want you to know that you're not alone in your pain. Sometimes we feel that we're the only one carrying this big, heavy weight of pain in our life. We feel that way, but you're not the only one carrying the pain and hurt. And we feel that the sadness will never end. But I want you to understand that even if you feel like the sadness, the pain, and the hurt is overwhelming, I want you to know that there's something that you can do about that pain. There's something you can do with that tragedy. You can do something. We have the power, and we have the power of hope. We have the power of elevation. We have the power of self-love, self-awareness, self-acceptance. And when we're going through this season of hurt and pain, we definitely don't feel like we have any power. We feel powerless. We feel like nothing. And whoever hurt you, on behalf of whoever hurt you, I sincerely apologize. And I don't apologize because I have done something. I apologize because sometimes we just need somebody, anybody to tell you, I'm sorry you were treated that way. I'm sorry you were not treated like the wonderful human being that you are, that you deserve to be. But just like that, your life can shift. And on the next episode, I'm going to be talking about how we go from denial to acceptance of some of the things that we go through and deal with. I want you to know that you're not alone, and that I have these conversations because I think it's so very important for us to understand that you don't have to go through this life on your own, that there is strength in number. There is more who are with you than is against you. And sometimes when we're going through something, we feel that we're going through it alone, but now we know different. There's a whole community of people who are supporting you. There's a whole community of people who are praying for you. There's a whole community of people who have had your same story or worse, but you just don't know of them. And that's why I say we're going to turn our tears to triumph. You are stronger than you think. You are stronger than you know. Hold on to that thought. Hold on to your strength. Hold on to your power. Don't give it away. Because on the next episode, we're going to be talking about how we're going to shift our tears to triumph and get into acceptance of our circumstance. Thank you so much for tuning in to Love Marlene 411, where we talk about real life experiences, self healing, and sharing our story in order to foster hope, change, and elevation. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have not liked, subscribed, shared on your social media, please do so. And I will see you all back for episode 2 next week, Tuesday at the same time. Everybody have a great rest of your day. And those in the replay, leave me a comment in the comment section below.